Larry tried to kill me.
Yeah. I was so thoroughly disgusted.
I mean, think about it. Why does it make you special to do what you do?
Packers jumping around. They rush 4. Plenty of time for John. Now squeezes, steps up in the pocket. LA can run inside the 10. Head first. He dives off the 5-yard line. My goodness.
Rushing forward, ball comes out of the hands of Newton. It's on the ground, and it's still on the ground. Picked up by T.J. Ward at the 4-yard line.
There's also Brian Clady and Bob Miller. 3rd and long 3. Going deep. Oh, and he's got Thomas. Goodbye. Touchdown.
Here we go. First snap of the overtime. The Broncos have been in 3 overtime games this year. They won them all. Got him at the 40. It's Thomas at the 50. Stifford got him 3 to the 30. To the 20. Thomas to the 10. Denver's going on to New England. They win it on the first play of overtime.
Well, in case you were still wondering, yes, the Broncos still suck. But welcome to the show anyways. My name is Mundungus Creevy, and I've been abandoned by all of my normal co-hosts. So I decided to bring in their full-time and one-time replacements, Bronco Bill, and our very special guest from the Incomplete Podcast, Ty. And you are currently tuned into the 5280 podcast on the MHRT Network. We are a fan-led Broncos-based podcast, filling you in on all things Denver Broncos. What's up, fellas?
Go for it, Ty.
I'm kind of I'm just kind of wishing that how this Broncos season's gone. I wish I could still keep reliving the Phillies postseason, because that was probably the best moment of sports of this fall so far. Now that their season's over, I have to deal with this pain that the Broncos have been giving me so far.
Well, yeah, but didn't the Phillies lose?
Yeah, but they got farther than anyone anticipated, so...
Yeah, Phillies did have a good run, that's for sure. No doubt about it. They're doing okay. Just trying to, process this whole season so far.
Yeah, I don't want to process the season yet. But let's get into a little bit of good news before we get into anything else. DeMarcus Ware is a 2023 Hall of Fame semifinalist. Yes.
Yep. Great. Good job. Good.
Now, I did see the list of semifinalists, and holy crap. I honestly could say I don't know if he's going to get in on this round. There are a lot of good people on that semifinalist list.
Do you think DeMarcus will go in as a Cowboy, though?
I don't know, because he won the Super Bowl with the Broncos. So it's
Right.
Plus it's like Cowboys, Broncos.
Let me counteract that, because any football player that goes in the Hall of Fame, they don't go in with one specific team. They go in just as a player. The only time a player will go in as a specific team is if it's for baseball, as far as I know. And I only know this because my co-host Kelly tells me numerous times they don't go in based on the team they played for or they had the most success with. They just go in to go in.
All right. Well, okay. I'll agree with that. But isn't something associated with their bust or their or who they played for? I mean, I know all that's on there, but I would think that there would be some type of connection, because I know when Elway went in. I mean, obviously it was with one team, but still Elway went in.
Who else would he go in for?
No, but you know what I'm saying is that
I'm gonna go for the Vikings.
No, that's not what I'm saying. No, but what I'm saying is, he obviously made full mention, so that's not a good point. I'll say Manning. Manning mentioned the Broncos and all of his attributes there, as well as the Colts. So that's what I was referring to is how's he going in? Is he going to reference the Broncos and the Cowboys or most of the Broncos?
Probably the Broncos because the Cowboys suck. Just not as much as we suck.
Yeah.
But in general terms, the Cowboys suck. I think that's
I guess I think we've established that so far.
All right, let's do a quick game recap. Quick, because I don't want to like sit on that game at all, dwell on it. The Broncos lose to the Raiders in overtime, 22-16. A couple things that sucked about that game. Melvin fumbled again, of course. That the ball that Kendall Hinton dropped. That was a surefire touchdown.
Yep.
God, that made me so mad.
Yep.
And then you've got so it's a minute 40 left in the game, right? 3rd and 10. All you got to do is either get a first down or let the clock run. What does Russell Wilson do? Throws the ball out of bounds.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't help.
Nope.
That's the opposite of help.
My problem with that is twofold. One, why is he passing? And two, I mean, if it is a pass play, run to the outside like he did, and then just fall down. The Raiders had 0 timeouts. I mean, to me, Russell Wilson doesn't look to me on a lot of plays like his head is in the game, like he knows what he's doing. A high school kid would know that. I don't understand.
If there was ever a time to take a sack.
Absolutely.
That was it.
At that point, I would have been okay with us getting a sack at that point. Like, oh my goodness, like Russell Wilson is making rookie mistakes as a 10, 11-year veteran. You go down when the opposing team has no timeouts and it's past the 2-minute warning. Wind some clock down so that way the Raiders can't kick a game-tying field goal or do whatever it is that they did because
they wouldn't have had the time.
Exactly.
40-some seconds would have run off. It would have been inside a minute.
This is one of those things that like I had brought up was like, you think about that 3rd and 10, right? Wouldn't that have been like a perfect time for a flea flicker? Just throw some old weird trick play in there, like, get this. Or like a double reverse. Like some weird play where you catch them off guard. That would have been perfect timing.
Right, but I don't know about the pass because then that's what he did do was pass and was incomplete. So I'm not sure about that. The double reverse, yeah, I think that would have been pretty cool. Would have burned a lot of time off the clock. Yeah. You stay in bounds, game over. Denver's had so many chances to win multiple games this season, and they've pissed it away every time.
Yeah, and there was a lot of things wrong in that game. I would say that the defense let me down. For one of the first times this season, I'm not saying they were awful because they weren't. I mean, you still basically held the team to 16 points until overtime. And Josh Jacobs really didn't do much. Even Devontae Adams didn't do much. They just made plays when they needed to. So I wouldn't say they played bad, but there were definitely like those plays that the Raiders made. No, I don't know if it was breakdowns in coverage or just people being in the wrong spot. I don't know where they're at, but that was the game where I was like, okay, that was more on the defense because we had Klint Kubiak calling plays, which is the first game calling plays, and I didn't really have a problem with it.
No. What do you think about this? What do you think about this coming?
This team needs rebuilt, not just players from the inside out from the GM. I know they just brought the new coach in, but he's got to go as well because the GM brought him. You mean the GM needs to go?
No, the coach.
Yeah, I think the same coach.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, okay, because I'm seeing people talk about how George Payton needs to go in. I don't get that one. Like, I understand. I understand. Like right now, the trade for Russell Wilson looks like a bad deal, but again, it's too soon to tell. Like we have. I mean, like it doesn't look great right now. And do I think we should have given up 2 firsts and 2 seconds for him right now? No. But at the same time, we have no idea what he's going to look like with a better coach next year. We have no idea how much of a negative effect bad coaching has had on him this year. Like, as far as Peyton goes, am I a fan of the trade? I'm not liking it right now, but I'm not going to say it was a failure yet. Do I like the extension? No, that was dumb. I hate it. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Like there's a lot of things that you can look at Peyton and be like, that was a really good decision. Like the draft picks. I mean, like name a draft pick that's failed for Peyton right now. I don't think there is one.
No.
Not necessarily.
No. Right.
So, and I mean, it's second year. I don't think you can get rid of Peyton, but at the same time, it's the same thing with Hackett. Like we have new ownership. I have no idea what they're going to do because they're not tied to anybody.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing. I mean, how many other GMs have made bad trades or bad draft picks or whatever? And then when they hit that one, there you go. I mean, it's a crapshoot. The draft is a crapshoot to begin with. I like what George Payton has done. For the most part, I like what he's done. We don't know what Russell Wilson, like you said, but we don't know what Russell Wilson can do with a different head coach, one that kind of bends a little to what he likes. And we haven't seen that from Hackett.
Yeah. He's talking about basically trading away people and bringing in new picks and going after Sean Payton.
Okay, I want
number one. Go ahead, Ty.
No, number one. The Saints still own his rights, so we cannot get him. And second
first
of
round
all,
pick. I promise you, it would take a first round pick.
It would take a first round pick, and the fact that we just got one back. I'm using that first round pick to get some help for our team, not using it to get a coach that, who knows something. I mean, yes, Sean Payton is a veteran coach, but you see, and apparently Sean Payton doesn't want to work for the Broncos, as far as I'm concerned. At least from what I've heard. So
I don't think he wants to work anywhere right now. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like the coaching part of, he's like the Andrew Luck on the coaching side. He just retires early, doesn't want to go anywhere, doesn't want to play, doesn't care. I mean,
Sean Luck.
But yeah, I would not say that the Broncos are in a complete rebuild because I don't think we're anywhere close to rebuild. I mean, am I wrong? Am I looking at this with orange and blue glasses on? Because I don't think that the Broncos need to rebuild.
I think for me, I think this game kind of, and this season has determined that we got the quarterback, but I think there's still more pieces that we need. And of course, injuries might have played a part in why we've done so poorly, but I think there are more pieces needed than a future Hall of Fame quarterback. We're probably going to need an offensive line to protect that quarterback. Now we're probably going to need to go running back because we released Melvin Gordon. And yeah, I just think this game kind of showed me there's just a little bit more that needs to be fixed than what we realized back in August.
Yeah.
This is a good take. I like this. At what point?
Okay, so here's another take. At what point does Peyton go if Wilson continues to play like this even next year? I mean, I think we basically were under the understanding that once new leadership comes in, once new ownership comes in, George Payton is looking like 2 or 3 years unless he succeeds, and then they could extend him. So I would say that next year his lease is going to be pretty short.
Yeah, and I don't know if I like that. I mean, I understand that new ownership comes in. They want their own people. They don't have any ties to anything dealing with anybody on the Broncos staff, period, except for obviously who they brought in, for manager and stuff like that. But I don't know if you just want to just, throw a bomb in the middle of this thing, destroy everything, and then try and rebuild it. I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing or a bad thing. I'm not sure. I've never seen this with a Bronco-owned team ever.
All you got to do is go back and look at Minnesota, and that's where he came from. I don't want to be the Broncos of the Minnesotas. I want to be the Broncos of Denver past history. You mean the Minnesota Vikings that are 8-2 right now? Those Minnesota Vikings?
well, they do have a new GM, and they do have the head coach that I wanted in O'Connell.
Yeah,
but
okay. So let's
many injuries.
So let's get into the biggest news, obviously, of the day. Melvin Gordon was released. In my opinion,
Sorry.
I think it was something that needed to happen, but the timing is interesting. Like, why did they wait so long?
Okay,
Well-
I thought you were gonna say like the timing was interesting because he's like, what took them so long? Well, no, not that we took them so long. I actually don't know where I was going with that. So keep on.
No, it's just like
Okay.
I keep hearing this debate of like, you have so many injured running backs. Why would you let the best one on the team go? And I kind of agree. Like, as far as like picking up yards, yes, Melvin Gordon was probably the best running back on the team other than Javonte. But you can't have him fumble once a game.
Right.
Like, maybe use him in between the 20s, and when we get in the red zone, then give it to Latavius. Why did I say Levante? What the heck was that?
Because that's what I
you're
was
I mixed
Latavius
them.
and Javonte. Yep.
Levante. We're going with that. But yeah, I just, every time he got the ball, I was terrified he was going to fumble. So I understand that you were down running backs. You have some injured running backs, but you have enough on the waiver wire to be able to go and sign more running backs if you let Gordon go before the bye. That's why I don't understand why they waited. So to me, it's like, was that a Hackett call, or was that a Peyton telling Hackett, let him go or you're gone?
I don't know. That's interesting because I really don't think Hackett would have pulled the trigger. I really don't. Just like I don't think Hackett was the one that said, hey, I'm not going to call plays anymore. I'm going to turn over to Klint Kubiak. I don't think that came from Hackett either. All that being said, I understand why they kept Gordon because of the injuries to the running backs. And it just so happened that every time it looked like he was gone, a running back would get injured. So, in my opinion, that's why he stayed on. I just don't understand why they keep handing him the ball. Put him in the game as a decoy, a blocker, or something. Swing him out to catch the ball. If he drops it, oh well. At least it's not a fumble. Well, unless he catches it and then runs and fumbles. But you know what I'm saying. Do something like that. Don't give him the ball anywhere on the field. I know you said between the 20s, but I don't know. I just don't want to. I just never trusted him when he had the ball because he never put two arms around it.
It's Ty.
well,
incomplete. He's not a rookie.
Well, well, even when he didn't have the ball, like I saw a couple plays in that Raiders game where he was set to block and he just completely let like Max Crosby, whoever it was,
right.
like Max Crosby go by, like, oh look, there goes Max. Oh, Russell Wilson, look. Never mind, he's sacked. Yeah. So I think it was like not only his fumbling, but definitely I think the protection when it came to pass plays, I think that might have ultimately did Melvin Gordon in Denver.
Well, yeah, but there's 3 games where he single-handedly caused the Broncos a game. I mean, the one against the Raiders, or was it Chargers? Raiders, I think it was, inside the 5. Then again, later in the game where he fumbles his return for a touchdown. And then this past week, I mean, I don't understand why it's so hard to hang on the ball with 2 hands.
And don't forget he fumbled at the week 1 against Seattle too.
That's what I meant. That's the one, not the Chargers, Seattle.
Well, that's the thing is like, Bill sent me this video on Rich Eisen, and he was talking about Melvin Gordon, and he was being very sarcastic and saying like, like the Broncos are scapegoating Melvin Gordon for their problems. It's like, well, not really. Like, he was kind of the problem. I mean, you think about it, Melvin Gordon cost the Broncos 3 games.
Yep.
Like the first one against the Seahawks. He cost us the first game against the Raiders.
Yep.
And he cost us this game against the Raiders. Like I'm not putting all the blame on him because there were other areas obviously that we were bad at.
But those were critical.
For God's sakes, we would have been up 17-7 at that point.
Yep, absolutely. And that's why, I don't really advocate to have anybody lose their job in any capacity, whether it's sports or anything else. But if you're not performing, I know if I wasn't performing my job, I wouldn't be sticking around. That's for sure. So, I understand it's a high profile, viewership kind of thing, but man, it's it cost the Broncos 3 games, plain and simple. Instead of being 3-7, we could be what 6-4.
6-4.
Yeah, absolutely,
Pretty much.
huge.
So you got Melvin Gordon gone. So it looks like we're gonna have, and I'm gonna get the name right, Latavius Murray.
There you go.
It looks like Marlon Mack is gonna be in, and then with the injury to Chase Edmonds, does that mean that we bring up Divine Zigbo from the practice squad? Do we wait until Mike Boone comes off IR, or do we bring in like a Philip Lindsay, or the Rams just released Darrell Henderson? Do we bring him in? Like, what do we do at running back going forward?
I say bring all of them in. Bring all of them in for interviews.
Lordy.
Well, I don't mean sign them right away, but you know what I'm saying.
7 running backs on the field on game day. Let's go.
Hey, use them as wide receivers, but you know what I'm saying. Okay, so maybe that's not the way you do it. But what I'm saying is look at all of them. Look at the one that would be the best fit for Kubiak calling the plays, not Hackett. Kubiak calling the plays. The best fit for Russell Wilson, the offensive line, the way he sees the field. I don't care who it is. I just want somebody in there productive. I don't care if it comes from somebody that was cut, or we bring up somebody from our practice squad.
Yeah.
Philip Lindsay. Either that, or we could bring was it Darrell Henderson who got cut today?
Yep.
I mean, he was actually pretty decent with the Rams as far as I know. Not just me basing off of him being on my fantasy team at a couple points in the season. But yeah, especially Philip Lindsay, who during his time with Denver has never fumbled the ball, and he could definitely be a play in the passing game where if Wilson just can't find anyone, he can just throw it out to Lindsay out into the backfield, and he can make space and do everything. I just thought, and I'm going to put this out there, that I think the Broncos didn't do Lindsay well when they released him, because I felt like he was like, oh, okay, you got something, go for it.
Well, I'm gonna ask you the question. Because I have nothing against Philip Lindsay. I liked him when he was on the Broncos.
Mm-hmm.
But he wasn't very good catching the ball. That was one of the reasons why, because he was very one-dimensional as a back.
Mm-hmm.
Then he went to 3 separate teams and got kicked off their practice squads. So why do we think that Philip Lindsay is going to come back to the Broncos and be anything more than a practice squad guy? That's my question.
Could bring him back as a practice squad player and then just see what he is capable of doing in this system. And then maybe if show signs of improvement, because Lindsay was in Fangio's scheme a little bit. But maybe Kubiak's system could be something that benefits Lindsay. So that's how I would see it.
Yeah. And again, I'm not saying that I wouldn't want to bring him in. Like, I'm fine with bringing in whoever.
Right.
The way I look at it, though, is like, all of these running backs that we have on the team were picked over Philip Lindsay.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say we brought in a guy like Henderson from the Rams, and we bring in Philip Lindsay. Like, who's going to start over one or the other? Like, is Philip Lindsay better than Henderson, or is Henderson better than Lindsay? Like that's where it's like, let's say we brought in all the running backs. Do you think that if you lined up Philip Lindsay all the way to Latavius Murray and looked at all the running backs we have on the team, where does Philip Lindsay line up in that order? Because for me, it's like he's
behind
Latavius
Murray,
back.
for sure.
And so I just, as much as I would love to bring him back, I just don't know if it would make any difference. Like, if you're just bringing in a guy to put on the practice squad, for me, it doesn't make any sense to bring him in.
True.
Like, just leave the practice squad the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
Because we know that Chase Edmonds is going to be gone probably 2 weeks. Maybe 3.
Mm-hmm.
We know that Mike Boone is getting ready to come back.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of think we just keep it the way it is. Go with Latavius Murray and Marlon Mack, and then maybe bring Divine Zigbo up for a game or 2. And then after that, bring him back, bring a Zigbo back down if he's not playing well, and reactivate Boone or Chase Edmonds or both. And then you have 4 running backs on the team.
I think the Broncos running game is going to look a whole lot different going forward without Gordon in there. Main reason is because of Murray. I mean, the guy, I know he can't carry the ball, 30, 35, 40 times a game. That's not going to happen at his age. But by bringing in a Zigbo or somebody else to fill that second spot, give him a rest, let him in there first 2 or 3 plays, and see where the yardage is. Spell him every first down or second down, whatever. Bring in somebody else. That I think really seriously going forward, this Broncos running game is going to. And now, of course, it's all on the offensive line, but we got Glasgow back at center.
Well, and I've seen Paul, I've seen Rich, I saw Glenn, and I saw Biggie all talking about Russell Wilson, right? And I think like none of us can sit here and say that Russell Wilson's played well because he has not. But we need to figure out why, because if you look back at all of his time in Seattle, he never played this bad. And I don't care how good of a coach you are, you can only cover up so much. I think that the biggest problem right now with Russell Wilson is the lack of a run game, which is why I wonder, as far as running backs go moving forward, who can we get? Because a lot of what Seattle did was based on the run. It was based on getting Russell Wilson out of the pocket. It was based on quick throws, which is what we saw with Klint Kubiak calling the plays.
Right.
So do I think that right now Russell Wilson has earned anything on this team? Absolutely not. But I think, and I mean, we can look at this 2020 hindsight all we want because we have so many players on IR, but with the starting offensive line that we thought we were going to have, with the starting running backs we thought we were going to have, with the starting wide receivers we thought we were going to have, I think this team is way different than what we're looking at right now.
Oh,
because we have millions upon millions of dollars on IR right now. You know, obviously we still need to work on the offensive line. I think that's where we look draft wise. I also think in the draft, we look at running back because, and I want to ask you guys the same question. Like, we know that Javonte is the number one back, but do we get Javonte back is the question. Because that knee injury that he took is nasty.
Are you talking about the level he was before he got injured?
Yeah.
No.
Are we going to get the same Javonte back? Because at that point, do we go running back in the first round?
You have to. You have to hedge your bet, so to speak. You have to have that poker face because we don't know what if Williams is coming back, like he was. Terrell Davis took just an ACL, and he never was the same. Williams has had 2 ACL and MCL. That's not good at all, and I'm not sure that he's ever going to be the same. I hope he does return. I know that the medical science is a lot more advanced than it was with Terrell Davis was playing. That being said, it's still a significant and serious, possibly career-ending injury. I wish him all the best, but I say I don't think he's coming back the way he was before.
From what I understand, that the extent of Javonte Williams' injury is something that is going to take more than. I think they said that he could be out sometime during 2023 as well. And so I definitely think that they should look at running back. And of course, Broncos country. And I was listening to a podcast say, like, everyone's going to go ballistic if we draft a running back in the first or second round. I'm like, let's just slow down a little bit. Let's see where we are at the season's end. And if they believe that we need a running back first or second round, then I'm not going to argue it.
Yeah, and I think we kind of have to look at this and go, what is the biggest need on the Broncos, right? Like, again, with the struggles we've had on offensive line, with the struggles we've had as far as injuries go, with wide receivers and running backs, I'm not going to judge the first year of Russell Wilson with the Broncos until I see him with, a coach that doesn't suck, with proper play calls, with a system that matches his talents, with a good offensive line, with something better than a 7-string running back, something better than, 1 first-round pick at wide receiver. Like, I'd like to see Wilson with all the weapons before I judge what it's going to look like. Is there blame on Russell Wilson? Absolutely. Like, how are you missing these receivers? How are you missing these progressions? And that's why it's like, you look at Russell Wilson and you saw some of the problems that he had with the Seahawks, but I think a lot of what the problems are right now is because he's being poorly coached. And I've been on Hackett's side since we hired him, but for the love of God, I wish we would have gone with Dan Quinn. Just because you know what you're getting with Dan Quinn. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
you know how he coaches, you know what he does. So as far as like going off on Russell Wilson, yes, he shoulders some of the blame, but there's so much blame to go around that now you got to kind of look at it in the offseason and go, okay, what is our biggest need? Is it right tackle? Is it right guard? Is it
Yes.
center? Is it
Yes.
left guard? Is it
Yes.
left tackle?
Yes.
Is it running back? Is it tight end? Is it wide receiver?
Yes.
we know Dulcich. Awesome. Stick with
Yep.
Dulcich.
Mhm.
We know that Glasgow is better at center than Cushenberry. Am I saying he's the answer? No, but he's better than Cushenberry. Still don't know what we're going to get for bowls. Like, are we going to get 2020 bowls? Are we going to get 2019 bowls? Are we going to get 2021 bowls? Like, what are we going to get? I didn't have a problem with Billy Turner at right tackle. Do I think he's the answer? Probably not. And then it's hard to judge Reisner and Miners on how well they are when you have a center that and you have like 4th string tackles beside you on each. So it's really hard to like look at the team and go, this is where we need help, because there's so much everywhere.
And we don't have draft picks.
Do we go with the first round punter? Like what are we doing? Why does the punter suck so much? Like, I understand that we cut Martin for cost, but geez, punt the ball farther than 40 yards. Like, come on.
Exactly. But there's so many holes that the Broncos need. But I think what we're really missing here is, yes, we do have holes, but a lot of those holes are created because of injuries. More injuries on this Broncos team this year than I've ever seen on any Bronco team any given year.
49ers.
Yeah.
Sorry, just answering Paul. 49ers.
No problem. No problem. But so, yes, we do have holes that we need to fill, especially on the offensive line, running back, that kind of thing. But we do have a tremendous amount of injuries. We have injuries at wide receiver. We got Judy down. We have Tim Patrick down. We have injuries in the secondary, Hamler down.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we got Williams at running back down. We just have a lot of injuries that I know that we need to draft quality people, but when we get these guys back outside of Williams, because I don't think he's ever going to be the same, unfortunately, but we get these other guys back, and then we could have a great draft class of the needs that we have to fill. I think we'll be okay going forward, as well as getting a new coach, head coach, that is. I don't think Hackett is the answer.
Rich says Dulcich and good Lord, Dulcich and Saubert, both good tight ends. I still think our best bet is to build the offensive line.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I don't disagree, but where do you start with the offensive line? Like, because I would say that right now, if we kept the offensive line the way it is, Bowles is serviceable, right? Like serviceable, sometimes elite, sometimes just downright nasty. Billy Turner, I would say, is good, but he doesn't stay healthy and can't get in shape fast. So there's so many places to look and go, I don't know.
I think if I were to look at the offensive line right now, going into 2023, I think the only one whose job is safe is Garrett Bowles. Maybe Dalton Reisner, depending on how things go. But everyone else, Glasgow, if he performs the way he performs these next 7 games, he's safe. I would say, like, if he does well, I would say at the very least Bowles and Glasgow are safe. Everyone else, be on the lookout for another.
Yeah, and Bowles just re-signed, so
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they move on from Bowles.
No.
Biggie says all you got to go back and look at is the running back that had his injuries. Can't remember his name, from Ohio State that plays for the Ravens. He's never been the same since. J.K. Dobbins?
J.K.
Yeah, that might be it.
Trying to think.
Yeah,
Dobbins.
Who is a running back?
J.K. Dobbins, I think.
Yeah, I think it is J.K.
Or
Dobbins.
is it the oh crap.
Hey, watch your mouth. No.
I want to say what? I want to say his name is oh, now it's gonna bug me. Now I gotta look. You talk about something, I gotta look it up. It's gonna bug me.
Oh, shoot. Okay, let's bring this one up. I'm gonna ask you this question. Or he asked the question. If Hackett was to go at season's end, who would you be targeting for head coach?
Quinn.
Well, that was quick.
Yeah.
You've been saying it all night.
I would say Dan Quinn or Frank Wright.
Gus Edwards. Is that him?
Oh, that does ring a bell.
I don't know if he played for Ohio. I don't know if
I
he
want to
played for
say
Ohio State,
I want to
though.
say J.K. Dobbins was the guy.
I
from
think
Ohio
it
State.
was Dobbins.
Okay, now that that's solved, what's the question? Targeting for head coach. Okay, Ty, go ahead.
I said either Quinn or we bring Frank Wright in, the coach from the Colts that just got fired.
Wow, Frank Wright.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if he'd be a good fit with Wilson. I mean, I'm not too sure about that. Although he may be more willing to adapt to Wilson's style than Hackett has been. But I think Dan Quinn, and I was talking to Mike this past couple of days, and if you bring in a Dan Quinn, he also mentioned to bring in Schottenheimer, the son of Marty Schottenheimer, and then have Kubiak either back to quarterback coach or to calling the plays. So I think it'd be a great move. I just don't know what it would take to get a Dan Quinn.
But what about Evero though? What would he still be with the Broncos? Because he definitely has done well enough that he should stick with the Broncos. But obviously, there's probably going to be teams that are going to be looking to hire him.
And that's one of the things that people said is like, if you go after Dan Quinn, Evero's not going to stay because they run different systems. But at the same time, Dan Quinn is one of those coaches that will adjust systems because he did it when he was at Atlanta. Like he likes a specific type of offense, right? But he hired different offensive coordinators that ran different systems to try to find the right one. So I think even if Dan Quinn comes in as head coach, Evero stays as defensive coordinator unless he goes to become a head coach.
Right.
I just don't know if 1 year as a defensive coordinator qualifies you to – well, okay. I can't say qualifies because Jeff's had it. But I don't think one season as defensive coordinator is enough to determine whether you're going to be a good head coach or not. You know what I mean?
That's fair, yeah.
True.
But again, I don't want him to leave, so I'll say whatever I have to so that he doesn't leave. But again, you can't say not qualified because Jeff Saturday.
Yeah, what do you guys think about that?
Oh, yeah.
How crazy is that?
Well, and I think this is the bigger question from that. Do you think that they move on from Hackett during the season? Because I don't think that there's much debate that Hackett is probably going to be gone before next season. They move on from him in season?
Here's my problem with that. I don't know if they have a coach that is who could take the interim spot at this point. So I honestly think they're probably going to wait until the end of the season. But it wouldn't shock me. I think someone had said that Dom Capers would probably be the what's the word? I'm looking for the word.
Interim.
Yeah, he'd be the interim, like the front runner for the interim if Hackett was let go.
Rod Smith. Why not?
Did you imagine
Saturday?
I mean, if it works, it works. But I honestly think like if Hackett's going to be gone halfway at the point of the season before the end of the season, if we lose this week to Carolina, that seat is going to be flaming hot.
Which, by the way, is starting Sam Darnold at quarterback. So
exactly,
boy, if we lose, you're in trouble, sir.
Oh, big time. I don't know.
This is one of the debates that like Bill and I've had because we talk back and forth about firing during season or in the off season, and like in season, whoever you bring in as interim is going to keep the same system. So even if you fire him mid-season, nothing's really going to change. I mean, the attitude might change for a game or two, but after that, you're still basically running the same system. I mean, like if we'd fired him after week one, then yeah, they'd probably bring in a new system. But you're looking at like maybe 6 games left if he gets let go. So you're not going to change anything. The defense is going to be the same. The offense will be the same. Klint will probably still be calling plays. The special teams will be the same. Nothing's really going to change. So I just don't know if it's worth letting him go mid-season because it doesn't benefit anybody.
No, definitely doesn't at this stage in time because, I mean, there's only 7 games left. I mean, the only way I could see them getting rid of Hackett is if Denver's mathematically eliminated, which they're very, very close to being mathematically eliminated from the playoffs.
You're eliminated after week one.
Stop it. We don't talk about that.
Oh yeah, playoffs. Like, don't talk about playoffs.
Exactly.
So that's why I was talking to Zach Stevens from DNVR. But like, he was talking like, if all this happens, we're one game in the playoffs. I'm thinking like, Zach, let's not talk about playoffs. Let's win a game first before we talk about playoffs.
Let's talk about if all this happens, we can win a game.
Yes.
Exactly.
Brad Smith says, would it be in our interest to get a new coach in early, and then the new coach can start fixing the system for the new year rather than struggle perhaps game one? I guess it depends on what you mean by early, because during the season, you can't really mess with other coaches. It's called tampering. And I'm pretty sure you'd get in trouble for that.
Well, unless you're Belichick.
Now, okay. I do. Or McDaniels. I do want to give Hackett at least some credit. As far as, what we've seen on the field, not a fan. But I will say that the culture for the Broncos has definitely taken a turn for the better from the Fangio years. Right. From everything I'm hearing, the players are still support Hackett. They still like him. I know that there was, and we've talked about it before, there was issues where injured players under Fangio weren't allowed on the sidelines. He didn't want them on the sidelines. And now with Hackett back in there, they're allowed back on the sidelines now. They're allowed to practice at games. They have the family meals on Saturdays before all the home games, which was done away with under Fangio. So I will say that the morale around the team, the camaraderie with the team is better. Mm-hmm. The problem that we're having is we hired an offensive coach to fix our offense, and it went backwards. Last year, we were averaging 20 points a game. I pray for 20 points a game at this point. There was one point we were averaging like 14.6 points a game, and our defense was allowing 16. 20 points a game, we would be like 9-1 right now.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's what's driving me nuts.
So how do we think about Pat Shurmur now? Just saying, don't shoot the messenger.
J.K. Dobbins, we got it.
No, but I mean, seriously, as much as we couldn't stand Pat Shurmur and his offense, a lot better than 3-7.
Yeah. Riker Will says, any chance Sean Payton will want to help Russ cook in 2023 if Hackett does get the boot? We talked about it a little bit before. Now, let's kind of throw it out there. In order to get Sean Payton, I guarantee you're going to need to trade at least a first-round pick. And if it's not a top 10, they're not going to take it. Because Sean Payton is not a free agent. He is still under contract with the Saints, and they're going to demand a top 10 pick. I can almost guarantee it. Mm-hmm. Denver does not have a top 10 pick because the 49ers won't stop winning. If they tragically collapse and lose all the rest of their games, I'd be okay with it. But I still don't think one first-round pick is going to do it. I think they're going to ask for more. Mm-hmm. Plus, I don't think Sean Payton's going to want to come to Denver. As far as I know, there are a couple teams on his list, and Denver's not one of them. So as much as people are wanting Sean Payton don't want the Broncos. So I don't think it's going to happen. There are other good coaching candidates out there, though. Urban Meyer's not on the list. So
not Urban Meyer.
Nobody put that on there because he's not coming back. But no, I don't know what the future holds for the Broncos. I did like the fact that the play calls were better under Klint Kubiak. I think we'll move forward with that. Mm-hmm. I think we'll get it figured out. I mean, I honestly, I am the constant optimist when it comes to the Broncos. I will always lean towards the positive. Mm-hmm. So in my head, it's like, well, Hackett was struggling this week because he just didn't know what to do because he wasn't calling plays anymore. So he
looked like a lost puppy, man.
So next week it's going to be better because he's had 2 weeks. I don't know.
I was gonna say there was a tweet out there that said that Hackett tried to call in the radio to Wilson, and then he was like, "Oh wait, Kubiak has it."
I don't have the mic to Wilson's helmet. That was funny. But and that's one of those things where you got to look into it, and like us as fans, we can only get a certain point of view of what's going on with the Broncos. Like, we don't actually know whose decision it was to throw it on 3rd and 10. Was that an audible? Was it a pass play with the option to run? Was it a, you have to pass, but make sure you don't throw it out of bounds, and then Russ decided to throw it out of bounds? Like, we don't know what the decision was or who made the decision to do that. So we can't sit here and blame one person because we have no idea. I don't know. I'm hoping that with a team like the Panthers coming up next, we can try to fix some of these problems. And I think them having Sam Darnold as their starting quarterback makes it that much easier.
Yep.
Because he's their third string.
Yeah.
Like, please God, like a third string quarterback against all of our 4th string people, we should be okay. Right?
Well, Sam Darnold is experienced. There's no doubt about that. I'm not saying that, he's, Tom Brady by any stretch of imagination, but he is experienced. He's not a rookie or second-year quarterback coming in and trying to, understand the NFL speed and all that. That being said, our defense is going to shut him down. Our defense secondary with Surtain and with Justin Simmons, we're going to shut him down. There's no doubt in my mind. The problem that I see, well, they don't have McCaffrey anymore, so throw that out the window. I was going to say the problem is the running game, because we didn't. How in heaven's name do we stop the running back for
Jacobs?
Yeah. No, we didn't stop
Derrick Henry.
Yeah, how do we stop him and hold him under 70 yards, but we can't stop the Raiders running back?
Well, okay, but at the same time, Josh Jacobs, again, nobody on the Raiders had like a career game. Like, it was not a good game by anybody. It was like one play here, one play there, one play there.
So basically all we need to do is stop Carolina from passing, because they have no running game.
Well, no, we can't do that because, listen, that's what we said against the Titans. Like, all we got to do is stop Derrick Henry. Well, guess what? We still lost.
You're true. Okay.
We just need
what's your answer?
I think our defense.
Everybody on the Panthers gets hurt for one game and they have to forfeit.
That's what I've been saying. Every single time a player gets hurt, I say
like,
good, and then you say no.
It's like a stinger, and it's like you're fine after the game, but you can't play until after.
Exactly.
And
I don't want the guy's career.
We're going to bring everybody from the practice squad up, and then we'll field them, and then we might win.
I wouldn't bet on that.
I think our best hope is hoping that the Broncos defense can make Sam Darnold start seeing ghosts again.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We got to shut down the pass, because I don't think they have a running game with McCaffrey not on the team anymore. I mean, who do they have? Nobody.
I don't know.
Really?
No, they got they have Chuba Hubbard and
DJ Moore, I think too, right? Or did he get traded?
That's the receiver though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The other running back is crap. I had him on my fantasy team. Hold on. I gotta look. He did really good for like 1 or 2 games, and then they benched him.
I just don't
talk amongst yourselves.
I just don't know if the Broncos defense at this point in time under first year with the Broncos Evero, that they are a shutdown, that if they are a shutdown defense on both facets, passing game and running game. One week we shut down the running game like we do with Henry, boom, passing game kills us. This week we focus on the passing game and the running game killed us. So this team isn't 100% complete on defense, but we still are very solid. We should be able to beat Carolina.
Oh yeah.
Deontay Foreman and Chuba Hubbard. Those are their running backs.
Well, they're no McCaffrey, but still.
I just thought I'd let you know that.
I still think we need to shut down the passing game. Force Darnold into scary plays, running for his life.
I want to sit here and figure out what we think the game's going to be, but then I don't, because we're always wrong. It's going to be 30-7, and then it's 10-11, or it's going to be 11-10, and then it's 3-5. You're like, come on. I just don't know if I want. I don't know. Like, I think the better question to ask is, do we think that the offense is going to look better in round 2 of Klint Kubiak than it did against the Raiders? Because I think we all can agree that Wilson and the offense looked better against the Raiders than they did against whoever we played. We lost to before that.
Absolutely.
You heard me.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. No doubt in my mind. I mean, the first series, the Broncos went straight down the field and scored a touchdown.
Mhm.
And that was Kubiak's first series calling plays.
That was exciting.
I really think, I mean, Kubiak's no dummy. He's got a dad that's won, multiple games in the NFL, as well as Super Bowl 50 as a Broncos head coach. He's learned from, what do you mean, who's that? So, I mean, he's won. I mean, he's experienced. He knows how to call the game. I think after having that first, and it could have been a shaky start for him. I mean, a nervous start, obviously, but to having that second week coming, he's got that first week under his belt, so to speak. I think he's going to tailor a game plan that Russell Wilson's going to shine in, and I certainly hope, without Melvin Gordon in there fumbling the ball, we got whomever they bring up to complement that the other guy. You know what I'm talking about. Latavius Murray. This offense is going to be.
It's Levante Murray. That's what it is.
It's going to look a lot better, and I really feel that Wilson's going to have a coming out. I don't want to say coming out party, but I think he's going to do really well in this game against Carolina.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's going to about do it for us. I once again want to shame all of my other hosts that weren't here. Shame on you.
See that time we got kicked to the curb.
But I want to thank Bill for filling in. I especially want to thank Ty for filling in on short notice. Ty, where can everybody follow you and the Incomplete Podcast at?
Of course, you can follow me and my co-host, Kelly. I'm at TyFlyGuy15. She's at I Love Talib. And then, of course, you can follow the podcast at in_com_pleat_2.
And please make sure you like, follow, share, subscribe, and turn on notifications for all of our shows and the Incomplete Podcast as well, so you can know when we post, when we go live. Also, make sure you tune into our other shows. The Cluster Puck Podcast, which goes live every Monday at 8/7/65, covers all things Colorado Avalanche. The Wild Wild West Podcast on Wednesdays at 7:30, 6:30, 5:30, 4:30, and Broncos Breakdown with Bronco Bill every Friday at 8/7/65. That show's okay. We also have The Neighborhood with myself and Bronco Bill, and we have Glenn fill in sometimes. I think we're going to have Ty on this weekend against the Panthers, which is going to be fun.
Mm-hmm.
And we live stream that game, giving our reactions, our play-by-plays, just kind of chilling and watching the game as fans while on camera. Is that weird? That's a little weird. But anyways, we love you, Broncos country. Even though our team is terrible, we love them too. And we will see you soon. Bye-bye.